we know how Stephen A. felt yesterday before Game 5. But, Monica, how are you feeling after last night's performance? Would you call Jimmy Butler a superstar?
So I went home yesterday after the show and thought about this.
Okay.
Sincerely.
Okay.
And make sure Stephen A. don't respond until I get my audio situated.
Yeah.
I still think Jimmy Butler is a superstar. Here's the thing. Even in your rant yesterday, Stephen A., there were two names that I agree with you, not on the same level. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, right? But I think after that, I would throw Steph Curry in there too. I think after those three, in my mind, it starts to get a little murky. I understand that the way he does it is unorthodox. I understand that he is not the prolific scorer that those guys are. But when you look at his game in totality in terms of what he's been able to do as a defender in this league, I don't think we can sneeze at him getting to 2 finals in a span of 4 years, especially with the current supporting cast. Like, I'm still putting Jimmy in superstar category.
I'm going to pause you because I want to get your audio set. We can come back to you. Mad Dog, your thoughts?
No, I think Stephen A's right. I wouldn't put him there either. He's an intangible player. I love him in fourth quarters, despite what happened for the most part in this series. But I do think he's a cut below the guys that I would list as superstars. He's not, he's not Jokic, he's not Giannis, he's not Embiid, he's not Booker, he's not Lillard, he's not Curry, he's not LeBron, even though LeBron's 38. He is, those are 7 or 8 right there. Would I put him over Tatum? Would I put him over, I'm trying to think who else. Would I put him over Anthony Davis, who's always hurt? I might do that. But he is a cut below the immortal player that we are talking about in the NBA. He's a touch below it. He's a great player, but he's a touch below. He's not Curry. He's not LeBron. He's not Lillard. He's not Booker. You take Embiid over him.
So none of this has anything to do with the success he's been able to lead a team to. Because, again, the top of your list, I'll give it to you, Mad Dog, but then it starts to get murky.
If I ask you right now to start a team, you're taking Booker or Butler? You can take Booker.
Well, because you're predicating this whole thing on scoring.
But no, in a short series that you needed to win for your life, would you take Booker or would you take Butler? You take Booker.
You would take Booker, but what I'm saying is it starts to get murky, which I think you are willing to agree with.
Well, I do think that he's in the consideration. I do think he's in the conversation.
Stephen A.
And I love him as a player, but I think he's not quite as good as those two guards specifically.
Y'all are going straight offense, though, but go ahead. Go.
Yeah, you are going
Stephen A., game of your life, Booker or Butler? I want to get your thoughts on everything.
Don't make that face.
Doggy just said.
I don't think that's the right question. Because Booker, as great as he has been, there has been moments where he's had bad games and big games as well. But I'm saying when you ask the question of would you rather have, I think that if you're sitting up there and you're saying you got a high draft pick and Booker or Butler are on the table, if you got a guy that you want to go on the court for you and provide offensive punch and firepower night in and night out, who are you going to pick? It would be Booker. Now, let me say this, Monica. Nobody said that Jimmy Butler's not a star.
Agreed.
Nobody said that he's not a great player. This man goes to Miami. He gets them to 2 NBA finals in 4 years and within a heartbeat of a 3rd NBA final last year in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. If he was on the Philadelphia team and if the ball hadn't bounced off the rim 4 times in Kawhi Leonard's favor, Philadelphia might have won that championship that year instead of Toronto. Jimmy Butler was on that Philadelphia team. I get that. But just like you said you went home and you thought about what I said, I was at the game last night thinking about what I had said. And let me tell you what conclusion that I drew as I really tried to dissect a superstar. And Doggy, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on this. Superstars are not normally deferential. They pretend to be from time to time to get other people involved, but they are clearly the dude, and everybody knows it. And they're the marquee, and they're the ones who usually deliver the goods. Even if it's on a pass instead of a shot, they're the ones that usually deliver the goods. And when you think about Jimmy Butler, as great as he is, there are levels to this. And when you think about LeBron, when you think about Steph, when you think about KD, when you think about a Damian Lillard, when you think about guys like that, even to a lesser degree Embiid, we all know what we talk about with Embiid. Now you went against Jokic. You saw what happened. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, and by the way, Doggy, There's no. I love Jimmy Butler, love him to death, and root for him all the time. There's no way in hell I'm picking him over Jason Tatum. I don't know what world anybody's living in to question that. I'm not picking Jimmy Butler over Jason Tatum. That's not happening. Jason Tatum averaged 30 this year. Jason Tatum is 6'9", who can do everything offensively that Jimmy Butler could do, plus more. And, oh, by the way, is not shabby defensively. I'm sorry. I'm not picking Jimmy Butler over Jason
Final
Tatum.
words here.
Have we forgotten who Jason Tatum is?
Yeah,
Sorry.
tough call.
No.
You could take Tatum
Didn't
over.
have the greatest representation in his last series, but fair.
Yeah. By the way, I just got to say, I mean, you are grace under fire, courage under fire.
Couldn't hear
You
anything.
could have seen what was happening back here behind the scenes. She didn't skip a beat. It was, I
Thanks,
mean,
Molly.
such a professional. I feel like I learned more about you.
I didn't realize
Club
Stephen A. had
You're
the,
Thursday.
are you calm in the storm? Are you that person in
I
your
try
family?
to be. I try to be.
Yeah.
Certain folks would.
Stephen A. had the ability
Club.
to
Stephen A. is
sabotage.
the storm.
He had the ability to sabotage your headsets from that far away.
Yeah, Stephen A., you're the storm. We're the calm.
I am, actually.
This whole thing is
I
just
am,
predicated
actually.
on offense, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break.
We know what he can do defensively, but marquee dudes, I mean, they're the marquee, they're the headliner,
Yeah.
and they answer the call. And Jimmy Butler's very deferential. Only averaged like 12.6 shots per game in his career. He's very deferential. That's not what superstars usually are.
All right.
Is this the start of a Nuggets dynasty?
I don't think so. I think that you've got to get a second one before we can even have that conversation. I think that when you look at the Warriors and the level of dominance, it's not about just the number of championships. It's about the number of times they were in the finals. You won 4 championships, but you won it over a span of 6 years. And so because of it, you look at that lengthy period of time, and that's what really resonates with you. Even if you win back to back, and then after that you're never seen from again. That's still not good enough when you're implementing the word dynasty, and that's where I'm skeptical about the Denver Nuggets. Jokic is not going anywhere. Jamal Murray is not going anywhere, or so it seems. They're both relatively young, under the age of 28. We'll see where they go from here. Michael Porter Jr. should be around for a while, and I thought he was really impressive last night. He's got some good size on him and what have you. But the bottom line, and they've got good coaching. But Golden State, there was a hiccup this year. We talked about that yesterday with Draymond. Phoenix, you've got to get a roster because you had to give up half your roster to give Kevin Durant. The Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Who are they going to get this offseason? And what will that materialize into for them? These are legitimate questions. Memphis, Ja Morant serves a suspension. Steven Adams and Brandon Clark come back healthy. What are we talking about? The Pelicans, if Zion Williamson can be healthy with the rest of the crew there, by the way, some of which were at last night's game, saw Willie Green, saw Brandon Ingram at last night's game. If you see stuff like that, there's so many teams in the Western Conference that could potentially knock off Denver. So let's see what materializes in the seasons to come. I'm not ready to say dynasty, I can tell you that much.
I agree that this is not, or it's a little early. But I think for me, the question is it the beginning? And I think that you have everything you need in place to potentially be starting a potential dynasty. I think the West will have to go through Denver. I'm not 100% sure that will translate to getting back to the finals and beating whoever comes out of the East. But I think there are pieces in place in terms of a star that has a great temperament and incredible skill set and is very unique in terms of what he does, similar to what we saw in the way that Steph did things for the Warriors. And so to me, as I look at the ingredients at play here, you got 2 stars that are locked in. Their chemistry, the way they play off of one another, is to a point. They set records in this particular postseason run. They lost a single game. And of course, they were the 1 seed coming into this thing. And so I think that we're in for a long run of opportunity and a window for this Denver Nuggets squad. So yes, we can't call it a dynasty until you get to multiples. But do I think that this is potentially a start of one? I'm willing to go there. I don't think anything about this particular year is fluky. I think that they are still going to pose challenges in terms of slowing them. I think the rest of the West is looking around like, all right, who can we go and add to our roster to help us slow down what Denver has going on, Nikola Jokic in particular. So I'm willing to say that this potentially is the start of a dynasty in Denver.
Well, I'm happy that Denver won 47 years. It's been a great sports town, so that's good. But I'm kind of with Stephen A. here, Monica, on this. I don't think, when I watch the Denver Nuggets, that I think this is like an all-time great team that's going to win 5 championships in 7 years. I don't see that. They got the 2 great players. They got an all-timer in Jokic. They got a very, very good player in Murray. The rest of this roster is okay. Porter up and down. Gordon's not a great offensive player. Brown's a pretty good little player. They get more out of Christian Brown next year. I understand that. But this is not a great roster outside of the big two. And this conference is a tricky conference. Not a great roster. They got 5. The other players outside of Jokic and Murray are okay players. They're not great players. And when you talk about dynasties, I mean, look at Durant and Curry. After those two, you still had Thompson and Draymond Green. I mean, look at the old Celtics. After Bird and McHale, you still had Parrish and Dennis Johnson. And you had, after the Lakers with Kareem and Magic, you still had James Worthy and Byron Scott. And you had a lot of good players there. Even after Detroit, who won those 2 championships, you had Isaiah, Dumars, Lambeer, Sally, Rodman.
Doggy,
you had an excellent players. This team doesn't have that many group.
Okay, so I hear you on that, right? And I will even give you that. But when you look at the counter, you're going to be pressed to name after 2 guys for almost any team that has to knock them off.
That's fair. That's
right?
very fair.
So all I'm saying is we kind of did this all year long in terms of, and I'll be honest, I didn't pick Denver to come out of the West when this thing started in terms of postseason. We did this all year long in terms of overlooking what Denver had going on. I could be completely wrong, but the ingredients to start a dynasty, to me, they are there, particularly because of the way the plates are shifting in the West. We don't know about the teams that are supposed to come and knock them off. If nothing changes and this team gets to run it back and nobody else fix their rosters, they're going to be the best team again.
They have the best player. So, I mean, I understand your point. Jokic and Murray, they have the 2 great players that they can build with. But if Green comes back with Thompson and Curry and Wiggins, that's as good a team as the Nuggets are.
What's that line about ifs and candy?
Oh, I understand.
I don't know.
Stephen A. always says it like ifs, buts,
if fruits and nuts.
Well, there's one part you're missing.
He's right.
It's one part y'all are missing. It's one part y'all are missing. Life's a lot different when you're the one being hunted.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.